All right, Rabbi, thank you all for coming tonight. We're sponsored for Fuh Shalema, Rabbi Chaim Noach, and Katrina Leah, Kosh Baruch Hu, Fuh Shalema, Karab Mamash, and for everyone else who needs a Yeshua Bekarov, the Chaim Yosef, Ben Sim Apparel, Yehuda's Chana, Bas Pesha Gittel. Could you lower this maybe because it's in my way? I can't see it. Thank you. Okay. So, let's begin with the first basic. Yeah, that's perfect. Basic number one. What is a chok? Who can tell me what a chok is? And give me hot water here. A chok is, we're going to find out, and we're going to see that later today, and on Shabbat we're also going to see it, because he gets into it very much so. But a chok is like a decree. Something that a king would give a decree, whether you understand why the king said every third Wednesday hop on your left foot. Nobody knows why. You know, in America we have these crazy rules. You can look it up online. Every state has their weirdest. Some mayor in the 1800s got upset at someone on a Tuesday and said, if you wear your top hat, we punch it inside out. If you chew a sandwich, you're going to jail. They're the weirdest laws. You can look at the laws on the books. Okay. It's a chok. The king or the mayor, whoever made a decree, bezeu, no understanding. Okay. Now, let's look at the beginning here of of the Zera Shimshon Derush Aleph on Parshat Hukkat. Midrash Rabbah al Pasuk Zot Hukkat HaTorah. When you write Zot Hukkat HaTorah, you're basically saying this is the grand chok. Nobody understands this one. So the Midrash right away jumps on and says, hold on. Rabbi Yeshua de Sichnin b'shem Rabbi Levi Amar Arba'a Devarim Yetzer Hara Meshiv Alehem. There are four in total chokim in the Torah. And when we say here Yetzer Hara Meshiv Alehem, what we really mean is that the Yetzer Hara gives us challenges in our head, makes it very illogical. I don't understand it. Dichtiv behen chukah, where it says over there, chok. What are they? One halacha is eshet ach, marrying a wife of the brother. We know we can't marry close relatives, and the Torah goes through it. Give me the other. Where's the other Zera Shimshon? Where's the red one? Where did I put it? Yeah, because I just don't want to waste time. He has it all placed there, the actual lashon, so it makes life easier. So it says like this, Eshet Ach, the pasuk says, Ervat Eshet Achicha lo tegaleh, and then it writes that Ushmartem kol chukotai. So right away it's a chok. Give him the show notes, right under the tzedakah box. Take the two papers, the top two. You need both. Very good. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so we're now going to learn about the first chok is Eshet Ach. You cannot marry the wife of your brother. Second one, we're going to go into all the details shortly. What? Oh, very good, good. He's already. He's getting. You're thinking good. Second mitzvah, the kilayim. You can't work ox and donkey together. You cannot wear wool and linen together. You cannot mix them together. Why? Nobody knows. This is the reason. This is it. It's a chok. Like a king made a decree. Nobody understands why. Sa'ir hamishtaleach. When you send the sa'ir, the goat, down to Azazel, your neshama, you're pure, but your clothing and your guf becomes tameh. Why? Nobody knows. And then the paraduma. The paraduma is even more than the goat. The goat is just the guy himself touching it. The paraduma, anyone in the entire avoda of the paraduma, it's a mishnah like this that says this. Anyone touched it, you're tameh. Why? You're making with this tahar, and you're becoming tameh. So, Torah wrote, Zot Chukkat. This is like the ultimate chok, that's the paraduma. The Midrash says, I got 3 more. A total of 4. And the Midrash writes, these 4, the Yetzer Hara plays with us and says it's illogical. And he's going to attempt to give us reasons. And he's going to say why the Torah calls this Zot Chukkat. This is the main one. Because of Para Aduma's question, everything that we build falls like a house of cards. We're going to come up with real answers of why each one of them is not allowed and when did we allow it. And we're going to come to the point of Para Aduma and we're going to get stuck over there. And then he's going to say, it doesn't work, all of it falls. So I'll preface it with the second Zera Shimshon, which we don't have. I'll do this on Shabbat. He goes through a calculation. 7, everything. The 7 cows, the 7 this, the 7 sprinkles, 7 days. He goes through it, he comes up with the number 49. He goes, Moshe Rabbeinu was the closest to the 50 levels of understanding. He was at 59. He was the only one that understood this mitzvah. That's it. Shlomo HaMelech talks about him and says, he's the only one. I wish I can get as smart as him. So we're not going to really get to understand. But with each one of these questions that the Zera Shimshon asks and answers, we get to learn about each one of these mitzvot on a very deep level. Now, I spent 3 hours trying to put together notes on the Megale Amukot on number 71. If anyone wants to look it up, Ayin Aleph. You have to know some Kabbalah. You have to know what the long nun stands for and the short regular nun stands for. One is fallen, one stands. So you have to understand that. You have to understand what the Nachash. Today we're going to understand what the Nachash is and who's the Nachash. I want to begin with that. Turn your page to the second paper, not other side, but the next paper. We have the Gemara. Yes, it's a Gemara that talks about the Nachash, and the Gemara over there tells us. Now, also, give me a set so I can go quick. Get you something you said. So the Gemara, that's over here. It looks exactly like the art scroll with the side stuff. Took it right out of the app. Okay. So it's talking about, they were teaching about certain things in the Gemara, and then it went straight into this Nachash. The Tanya for it was taught in the Bright, Rabbi Shimon ben Asya Omer. Chaval, such a loss, al shamash, on the great servant, she'avad min ha'olam, that we lost from this world. She'ilmalei lo nitkalel nachash, if this nachash wouldn't have been cursed. Kol echad ve'echad miYisrael, every one of the Jewish people, hayu mizdamenin lo shtei nechashim tovim, you would have had 2 nachash, 2 snakes at your disposal. Now you got to remember, Nachash before the sin had a very different figure. It either walked like we did, and it had certain wisdoms. It understood dirt. Like the Chivis, they would taste the dirt, and they could tell you which dirt is fertile, which dirt to move away. So they could go through any non-arable land, like we have, let's say, some stuff that never grow, they'll taste it, they'll tell you, get rid of this, move it around. They'll also search for you for parnasa. You can put it in front of a mountain. It'll go in, tunnel, find all the gold, silver, whatever, emeralds and jewels that you want, and it'll give it to you. When it says that Hashem provided you with everything, it meant it. They were these 2 parts of the snake, and we'll understand what that is today. I'll just go over it just in case we don't get to it. I'm going to forget. I'm telling it to you right now. When we're going to hear it again. Who learned Masechta Makos? Who learned Masechta Makot? Who remembers what kind of belt do we use to hit someone who doesn't who gets the Makot? What's the belt? What kind of leather? There's 2 leathers go in there. Shor and Chamor. The same pasuk we read in Yom Kippur. Shor knows his master. The Chamor knows where he gets fed from. Yeah, Shor Koneu, right? Shor v'Chamor. In the word Nachash, you're going to find the letters Shin for Shor and Chet for Chamor. They were supposed to be there for you. And the Zohar writes, east and west is where we live. North is way too cold. South is way too hot. you were able to send your Shor and Chamor in a figure of a Nachash to go do the work as Shor and Chamor today does work for you. They would do that work. Everything what it is. The Chamor, Shor wears a plow and plows through. This snake would burrow through the ground and find you emeralds and jewels and gems. And the same would be with the other one. And they would be there for you until they got jealous. What happened was, the Gemara over here talks about whether Adam was able to have meat. Was he allowed to eat? It said the Malachim were giving meat. They just dropped meat from Shemayim, Malachim roasted and gave it to him. The Nachash took one good look at Adam and said, hey, there's really no difference between me and him. We look really similar. And got jealous. The story of what the Nachash did to the Isha and to Adam happens next, after they got jealous. That's why the whole curse has to do with these four things that we just talked about here, about the chok, about children. She's going to have a hard time to give children. He's going to have a hard time to go do work and make money. This Nachash was supposed to do all this for you. He's supposed to take care of all the parnassah, make everything easy for you. All right, it messed up. The Gemara also over there asks, meat comes from the heaven. Is it kosher or not? Oh, everything comes from Shemayim is kosher. What do you mean it comes from kosher? And they had a whole bunch of questions there. Okay, but that's not side point. This is the point here. Let's continue just a little bit more in the Gemara. Two good serpents. I'm sorry, my eyesight. One you could send to the north, one you can send to the south. I already told you why it's north and south here. North goes to the Antarctic, very cold. South goes to the South Pole. And over there, it could do things for you that most humans don't sojourn. They don't go there. And what happens? Lahavilo sandal bonim tovim. Types of gems. Avanim tovot, precious stones. And margoliot, pearls. And look at number 35 in the notes on the art scroll, on the paper that I gave you. Everything was created for the benefit of Adam. The serpent is singled out as primary servants of man because of its unique abilities that elevate it above all animals. Before it was punished for persuading Isha, the Eva, right, Chava, to take of the tree of knowledge. Before that happened, before the Eitz Hadat, it was endowed with a certain amount of intelligence. The snake was smart, it knew how to talk. The power of speech. Only after persuading Chava to sin, Hashem decreed the serpent to lose its former stature and crawl on its belly. And by the way, the nature of the snake still exists. It knows all the dirt, it eats all dirt, it's never hungry. It still has its nature. It's still there. Now, we're gonna see, thus, let's go a little further. Were it not for this curse, the serpent would have been used by Adam and his descendants for tasks beyond the capacities of other animals. Each servant of God, if you serve Hashem, you would get two serpents, which he could use to send on missions, which a human would find difficult to perform, such as to journey to the frozen north or to the scorched south and bring back precious stones and other valuables difficult to obtain, Marsha. And I did the biggest favor. Take this paper of the Gemara, flip it over. Yes, I'm advertising the Art Scroll app. It's amazing. It's got right there on the spot. You get your art, you get your marsha, and you can make the size bigger if you can't read it. Okay, mevuar ki be'emet kol hanivraim nivra'u l'tachlit adam. Every creature was created for a purpose of a person. Utashmisho, and to be able that a person should use them. Omnam hanachash hayam mitzad briato. Shemesh Haniv Har Mikulam. This was the Shamash that was most choice from all of them. Shehu Haya Memutza Ben Adam V'Shar Ba'alei Chaim Shematzinu Bo Koach Hadibur. He had the koach of speech. He was the one on top of all the other ones. V'Aron Mikol Hayot, and he was the naked from all of them, meaning he was open, his mind. As the Gemara Sota says, Ani Amarti Melech Al Kol HaChayot, he should be the king of all the animals. Ufisha Derech Kavod LaAdam, sheyu lo bet mishamshin. A person that's honorable has two servants. So too, Hashem going to give you that. U'shnei na'arav imo. Abraham had that two children with two of the lads. That's someone who's respected. So he said, Amar shehayu mizdamenim lo bet nechashim tovim. You'll have two serpents. Echad mushagero letzafon and one the other side. Nakat tzafon v'darom. Why? Shelevi da'ad ha'to v'tochenim sheyeshuv b'nei adam. Usually people live is Mizrach and Ma'arav. Next line. Avol ledarom v'tzafon, north and south. No one lives there. Either it's too cold to play kor ve'achom. So he'll send them there. In what happened, 4 lines from the bottom of this paragraph, Haskiru bo shne devarim elu ki mitok kilotah, from the curse shalato rasha shenit kalel nilmad, from Rashi kiyotze bo mesechat. Okay. The Amar ki tachat shaya le'adam beracha zo kodem akilkul, before he destroyed it, shaya lo reglayim, he had feet, the serpent ka'adam, the sechel and the brain ledaber ul havin, and to understand, kedei le shagero be'atzmo, to be able to be there for him, to go far, lemerchok, letzafon ledarom, asher ein kein b'shar b'alei chaim. No other animal could do that. And Mishnat Kalkel, when he did the Averah, Amar al gechonecha telech, you go on your belly. Shal yuchal leilech maher, because you can't go fast anymore. He used to be able to be really quick. You need the emeralds from the Antarctic, boom, he's back in a half hour. When came? When they say slithering, house of slithering, they really meant it. Yeah? Okay. And you could use him, as it says in the last line, you could use him, v'tachat shayu mafshilin retzua, you could put a retzua, strap, on his tail, zanavo, k'dei lotzi afar leginato, you could fix your garden. So you could use them for gardening. These guys know all the different types of earths, so you could just attach them to your thing and walk them around like you're walking your vacuum machine. And it would go through and take care of you. You wouldn't need no gardeners. No gardeners anymore. This guy takes care of it for you. Okay, and he can, and that's the reason, as you see, so the curses that Adam got, what it has to do with the actual Avera and what we actually lost, it really makes sense. Now that I gave you all this introduction, you're going to understand here what's going on. We're going to start with the first thing. In Yehuda's times, there was no Torah, and yet they did the mitzvah of Yibum. Yibum is the complete opposite of the Averah that the Torah said you can't marry your brother's wife. Because we're going to learn, and the Zera Shimshon makes the svara, he says, I'll tell you why. Chok number 1, and I give you a reason. What's the purpose on this world is to create what you are. For example, I could make out of the animal that grows the wool, I can make wool. That's min, it's a species, and you could create something with it. Person gets married, has children, you can create and continue. If you didn't have a child and you died, then a yibum comes in and you created what could have been lost. So you're doing technically something really good, such a good mitzvah, you're considered even a shutaf, a partner with Hashem, by doing the mitzvah of yibum. So it was a minhag from way back when. They even questioned whether Bnei Noach had this mitzvah. At the time, they had this minhag, and it continued forward. So this was really, you're not allowed to do this. But if it's going to be such a mitzvah where you're going to do the purpose of the world, which is to continue it, go for it. But that's a problem now. Torah says you could make out of tzitzit from wool and linen, beged, right, pishtan, and semeru pishtan. Problem is, you don't need to do that. Each one creates its own thing. You can make wool from the animals, shear it, and you get more wool. You don't need to do anything to it. Linen is the same thing. It comes from flax. It's good. That's it. Why then the Torah says you can mix the two to make tzitzit? So that chok is a question. So we're going to give an answer. Zera Shimshon says, I got a good answer for you. I got a good answer for you. First he goes to explain all about tzitzit, which I'll get into in a moment. But he says, I got an answer. Very simple. Really, you don't have to mix anything. But when it comes to serving Hashem, we have to stay far away from the Avera that Adam did. What did Adam do? Adam took his neshama and separated from the guf. How did he do that? He took the Eitz HaDa'at, he enjoyed taiva, he went to physical, and didn't follow the spiritual. That Avera, by the way, caused the problem, caused the fight between Cain and Hevel. What carbon did they bring? One brought wool, according to the Kabbalah, and one gave what? He gave flax, vegetation, right? One brought vegetation. The other one brought the korban, right? The animal, the wool. Because of Adam's sin of Eitz HaDa'at, everything afterwards started to fall apart. Caused a separation. Caused an explosion here. They fought each other because of that. So really, you cannot mix wool and linen. That's the Avera. But if it is to fix the original Avera of Adam, of not following Lo Taturu, Achrei Levavchem, Achrei Neichem, not to do Ta'ava, we allow you to break the mitzvah of Temer Pishtim Yachdav. For Tzitzit, you can do it. So that's the reason number 2, telling you that when it comes to serve Hashem, you need to take the guf and the neshama and bind it together by wearing tzitzit. Tzitzit is so holy. Tzitzit is so holy, you'll be allowed to be mekabel pnei shchina. Rabbi Chaim Kanievski says it. You can see it in here. It's shackle to the whole Torah, the entire mitzvah, because the blue, it's an entire world. The Kabbalah writes that the world, the creation, Hashem threw snow into the water, and that started to become and form land. That's what the Zohar writes. The white of the strings and the white of the beged represents the whole world, life. And the blue tells you, look to the heaven, don't mix up. The entire tzitzit is built with such holiness. It's there to remind you to keep the Torah and do all the mitzvot, that you're allowed to break the Avera of Kilayim. Not only that, Shor v'Chamor, like we said earlier, is the exact same story. We cannot use them together because of the Nachash. The Nachash has in it the letter Nun, the letter Chet, and the letter Shin. And I'm going to go on a tangent. I'm just going to tell you, and I'm going to finish up because we're running late. Moshe Rabbeinu, when he says E'ebrana ve'er'eh, when he says E'ebrana Nun Aleph, he wants to fix the Nachash. He wants to fix the Adam. He wants to change. Et Hanan, he put a second Nun from the fallen Nun to a regular Nun beforehand. And there's a reason why it's 100, because he wants 100 brachot, whatever it is, not important there. The point he tried to do is he's tried to fix and remove the issues that happened with the Nachash, so that at least there's an easy way to get in. Now that we rectified, we can walk in. What do we do with Shor? We take it and we put the 2 leathers together when we do the makot, to reminding the person to do teshuvah. There's a reason why we use specifically Shor v'Chamor. There are plenty of better leathers. We're using specifically them. On Shabbat we'll do more of the Megalei HaMukot. We're going to go into it. You'll see the details. Let's go to the 3rd thing. Then we brought the Seir that we throw to the Azazel. Over there, we just said, hold on. We said we're doing a mitzvah. We're allowed to break the mitzvah of Kilayim because we're bringing together the neshama and the guf. So if we're in one piece, how could it be that the guy who takes the Azazel, throws him over, his neshama is holy, but his guf and his clothing, it all becomes tameh? Why? How's that possible? I thought you can't do that. Once we broke the rule of Temer Upishtim, we're allowed to have wool and linen because we want to unify the 2 separate things that Adam did, the neshama and the guf. So we wear tzitzit. So if we're one unit, how could you make just the neshama tar and the body tamei by Yom Kippur? So over there, the Gemara gives an answer. The Gemara says, I'll tell you why. Think about the Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol puts the hand on the goat. He didn't become tamei. And he put on him all the averot with the membet letters of Hashem. He put on him all the averot. They say, Kabbalists say, that's why the guy taking the azazel, it's so heavy the animal became, he has to carry on his shoulder and stops every couple of feet when he takes rest and drinks because the animal got so heavy holding all our averot. But that's not the reason. Now they bring us a reason, but it's not the reason for us. He says, you know why the neshama stays holy and the clothing and the body becomes tamei? Because it's not the main part of the azazel's mitzvah. So it's not doing a mitzvah to be protected enough. Kohen Gadol is doing the main mitzvah. He's putting his hand. He's protected. The guy that's taking the azazel, he's doing partial mitzvah. So even though we said you combine nefesh and guf, it happens to be that when you're doing the throwing of the azazel is the mitzvah, you'll be protected then. Nothing will happen. You won't fall over. Nothing will happen to you. But carrying it is a hachana. It's not the main thing. Therefore, over there there's opening for tamei. If that's true, says the Zera Shimshon, so then what about para aduma? Para aduma, the entire avoda to get the para aduma, all of it you become tamei. I thought you just said if you're doing a strong mitzvah, you won't be tamei like the Kohen Gadol. Here, every part of the avodah is important. How could it be that half of him is neshama, is tar, and his body is tamei? Chabesusim l'tam, wash your clothing, wash your clothing, wash your clothing. Go to the mikveh, wash your clothing. I thought you just said if you're doing a mitzvah, you should be protected. No way to enter you. Because there's no answer on this, the Zera Shimshon said, I don't understand any of the chukim. None of the chukim you can have a svara because each one has a question. And even though you had a teretz, you only got up to para aduma, and at para aduma, not even Shlomo HaMelech could understand it. But within this, we had a zechut. We were able to see the importance of tzitzit, its protection, what it does to you spiritually and physically. And then, I have it here, but we're not going to do it today. It's crazy. There is so much to discuss here from the Megala Amukot on just this topic of the Nachash alone and what happened with Adam here and its connection to everything that we talked about. It's all in there. So I just want to say it's a chok. We're not going to understand it. King commanded it. But we do have some svaras that make some sense. With the brother, you're doing what Hashem wanted to continue the world. Go for it. He's going to be with you, a shutaf. That's, by the way, how we created Mashiach's dynasty, David HaMelech. Same story. And it's called Goel, Redeemer. It's a very strong lashon. And when it comes to Tzemer Upishtim doing Shatnez, we now know. There is also, brought down, there is the word Shatnez could be also written as Satan Ayin Zayin. There is a certain Satan that affects a person that wears Shatnez. That means wool and linen together. There's a certain effect. Now the Gemara explains and says, Kedusha, and I'll just end off with this, because they wanted to explain Paraduma in this way. They wanted to say, I'll tell you the svara that you could say, just to give you a little bit, you don't have to wait till Shabbat, just for this part. The svara you could say for Paraduma, and this you have to understand, is, I'll give you an example, but I won't elaborate more than that. How many of you ever had a fish tank? How many of you ever tried to get the water out of the fish tank using a tube? Now, first, if you stick the tube in, it's never going to go. But you do something, and it starts to draw with it. The paraduma, the ashes are there to draw. So that's how they want to explain. So now, when I sprinkle it on the person who's tamei, it starts to draw. I have those ashes, it drew onto me, so to speak. It's like that pipe from the water that's now backflow, it's called, right? Backflow. It's backfill. It's going backwards now. Like a cycle, right? It's going the other directions now. So I'm taking out from them their tumah, and it's coming to me. So that's a one way to somehow explain it, but there are plenty of questions on this. But that's the pashtus, the simplest way if you want to look at how it works. Happens to be that tumah itself is very hard to explain. The way to explain it that we should understand is, right, you heard your Rebbe say 100 times, a Jewish cemetery, if you walk by, you're a Kohen, you're going to get tamei. And if you went by a Goyish cemetery, you're not going to be. So over here he writes it, he actually will talk about it here. And it says like this, it says that because there's Kedusha, if it leaves, if there's a void, something's going to want to come and chew on it. So it's very yummy. But if there's no Kedusha there, nothing will come to it. It's not tasty for it. So therefore, a tzaddik, or regular Jewish people, we do mitzvot. We have a certain level of Kedusha. With that, we're going to have a stronger challenge. The Yitzhar is going to be just as strong. It's going to say, "Ooh, you filled it up with Kedusha, and you should know there's something there that could draw away from it. It has to be the same strength. It keeps growing that way." And that's how by the cemeteries, and your Rebbe tells you, he says, "Oh, by the Jewish cemetery, you're going to get tumah, but not by Goy cemetery, because the Goy cemetery doesn't have Kedusha. If he doesn't have Kedusha, there's nothing going to come to fill in it. It's done. That's the way it is. But by a Jew, after 120, what happens? The Kedusha left, he's gone. So what could go in there? That's why you have to be very careful. You don't want to get tamei, a Kohen can't walk in, and so on and so forth. Obviously, a tzaddik is going to be protected from anything, but that's the understanding. Shatnez, you're allowed to wear if you're not enjoying it. Mitzvah is not given for enjoyments. And let's say I have a storekeeper. I sell suits, atika. Let's make believe every one of my jackets have shatnez. I have to have a guy clean it afterwards. In the store, if I'm not wearing it for hana, there's no issue of shatnez. It's nothing. I'm not going to get anything out of it. It's to enjoy the benefit from it. When were we allowed to have shatnez? Before Adam Harishon made the sin. Because then there was no separation between the guf and the neshama. You were allowed to even tap into things that maybe koach goes elsewhere, because you're going to take it and enwrap it into Torah and make it work. After Adam sinned and that separation happened, what was the separation? Ta'avot. The Eitz Hadad went to Ta'avot, so his neshama and his guf separated, so to speak. At that point, the mitzvah of kilayim came to existence, and by the same token, the yibum came to the same existence, saying that's not allowed to be done. But over here, we're going to allow it if you do what? If you're coming back to Adam before the sin, and that's how I'm going to end off. Tzitzit, when someone wears tzitzit, he is equal to Adam before the sin, because he fixed the tzemer upishtim, which means he fixed the problem with Hevel and Cain, which means there was no kilkul of Adam that caused that avera to happen, because he cascaded it all. So that means when you wear tzitzit, you're at the level of Adam before the chet. Someone who's wrapped his guf and neshama together in Torah, parnasa, everything opens up for him. That's the lesson that the Zera Shimshon teaches us. Thank you all for coming. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Shaharit.